Hey everyone, Ivy Lee Gaming here, and today we're playing Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here to talk blessings and Hydra specifically. Now, when it comes to the question of which blessing should I put on which character, there are so many answers for that that's something I'm personally trying not to answer for the most part. Now, of course, I know you guys are all asking that, but the reality is going to be just like answering the question of who should I 60 next. It depends on the rest of your team. It depends on where you're using that character. And blessings are just no different. It really is the same. It depends on the rest of your team. It depends on which other blessings you're using on your team. There's just too many factors to have one cut and dry answer of which blessing is best. Now, we're talking Hydra, so I think we can narrow it down a little bit better. I'm going to go over all of the ones that I think are worth noting for sake of Hydra, and we can talk about who we could use some of those on. But again, we're going to talk about conditional stuff and being aware of the synergy with blessings on your team as well. So let's get to it. Let's start rares. First up, we have Miracle Heal. Has a chance of restoring a portion of any destroyed HP when this champion heals himself or an ally. The amount of HP restored is equal to a percentage of the heal. So at higher levels, this ends up being a 100% chance to restore destroyed HP when healing, and it restores destroyed HP equal to 15% of the heal. It's not so bad for a strong healer, and if you're talking about the Head of Decay being involved, either at lower levels where it's in the starting rotation, or at higher levels, you know it's going to pop up quite a lot regardless. This can come in handy for your support champion, but keep in mind this is probably not one you want to use unless you have all of the other bases covered that we're going to mention a little bit later. But it is definitely one worth noting because the Head of Decay does destroy a lot of HP, and depending on the amount of heals in your team, you can kind of do too much healing and destroy a lot of your HP. Keep in mind when it comes to Hydra and the Head of Decay, the only way to get that HP back, besides this skill, this blessing, will be to decapitate the Head of Decay, and then he'll give you 50% of the HP that was destroyed back. But not all of it, so just keep that in mind. This could come in handy for someone if you're noticing that your max HP is getting just crazy low because of too much healing, or even someone that maybe heals themselves more than the rest of the team. This might be helpful and worth noting. All right, we have Phantom Touch as well. So this one has a chance of inflicting bonus damage to one enemy whenever this champion hits enemy targets. When hitting multiple targets at once, only one champion will receive bonus damage. And this is proportional to this champion's attack. So this is something you want to put on someone who is an attack-based damage dealer, not a defense or HP based, of course. Keep that in mind. Make sure you have decent attack on whoever you're going to use this skill on. It's bonus damage. So the bonus damage, I'm assuming it's going to pop. It pops like War Master Mastery or something, like just getting an extra little bonus tick, which can add up a lot, especially over time. Now here at 5-star, you get a 100% chance of inflicting bonus damage. And then at 6, you get a second instance of bonus damage as well. That can come in handy. It also has nice substats here, like the added attack, HP, crit damage, and speed to your champions. So whenever you're looking at all these blessings, keep in mind the other substats that you're going to get at the same time. All right, now I want to cut in here for a second because you'll see here Phantom Touch. HH Gaming here is doing a great series on blessings. They're going to be doing a spotlight, really breaking down the details. And I mean breaking down the math, spreadsheets, all that fun. Plus, of course, just talking in general scenarios in a little bit more simplified terms. But Saphira is doing an awesome job breaking stuff down. It's such good information. And I really highly suggest you guys keep an eye for these videos. And especially this Phantom Touch. I feel like it's pretty surprising and probably a bit underrated from all of the other content creators that are like, screw the rare blessings. They suck. Let's just talk about the other ones. Ignore them, guys. They're wrong. This is a solid blessing, especially for something like Hydra, so be sure to check it out. I will link this in the description below. Let's get back to blessings. And we have Hero's Soul. Now this is one I feel like is worth noting, especially for higher levels. It's 6-star, 3% damage for each enemy, so on Hydra that's 18% extra damage to each enemy added. Now The only trouble is, keep in mind, if you're doing the damage strategies like max HP, like a Husk or a Royal Guard, you can only do so much damage with a max HP hit. So if you're already capping on your damage, you can only go so far. You know, you can only hit so hard. You can't add extra damage. So some of these skills that are related to adding extra damage for a damage dealer, keep in mind max HP in areas like Hydra, you can only do so much as it is, and you're probably already hitting those points. But it might go far on someone else, like a Soulless, a Coronar, someone that actually does damage, but not max HP damage, but can pop out some good stats. So just keep that in mind when you're planning for stuff like this, and it actually might come in handy a little bit more than expected, even though it's just a rare one. It's not the top tier for damage, but if you're already covering the other bases, it might be one worth noting. Now on to epics, we have Heavencast. I really like this one in certain niche uses, especially, well, I'll give a couple examples. So debuffs placed by this champion's default skill will ignore a percentage of the target's resistance. So this ignores up to 40% of the target's resistance. Plus it adds really nice substats like speed, crit damage, HP, and attack. So this is something to consider on someone like an Oboro, a Husk. People that you need more utility out of besides landing a debuff on their A1, but maybe the only skill you care about that is a debuff that you need accuracy for is on an A1. With Husk, you need accuracy to place the provoke, but you don't need accuracy for the rest of the stuff you're using him for Hydra, just the provoke. Oboro has an AoE that places decreased defense if she has enough debuffs up. She's also great to be a mischief target, and she could do good damage. So if you're able to use something like this Heavencast on an Oboro, you can decrease her accuracy requirement because of this and be able to pump out more damage and more stats elsewhere, which can really make a big difference in the long run. Now, Cruelty, this is a strong one and definitely going to be solid for Hydra. Whenever this champion hits an enemy, decreases their defense until the end of the round. Occurs once per hit. If multiple champions have this blessing, still cannot decrease a single champion's defense by more than 40%, or decrease a boss's defense by more than 20%. So even in the early stages, this is pretty nice. You can decrease each boss's defense by 5% total, or up to 20% total. Now this is best for only, of course, one champion on your team. It doesn't stack, so you don't want to have multiple people using Cruelty in your same Hydra team. But one thing to know, this is also good for an AoE champion. And also the person that's doing the damage doesn't have to be the one wearing this either. It's just every hit is going to decrease the target's defense. So once you hit a few times, boom. Doesn't take long to stack up to this maximum, and it's going to help the whole team do more damage. So this is also good for an AoE champion, like an AoE A1, like our new friend Uko, Mighty Uko, or a Coronar, or a Boro, or Nekmothar. There's a lot of champions that have an AoE A1, so you can quickly stack up this decreased defense and enable the rest of your team to do more damage. Plus it adds some really nice substats as well, like most of these blessings. Next, under War, we have Commanding Presence. This one is solid to note because it strengthens your team's aura. Simple as that. It's a really great addition. Now, keep in mind it does not stack with the legendary version of this though, so you only can have one of these, and you're going to want to consider that for sake of who you're putting it on based on these substats, I think. Now, this one is a little bit more HP focused than the legendary one, so that might actually make you choose this one instead of the legendary version, but we'll talk about that one after. But this is great. I mean, at higher levels, 35% increase of your aura. Like, what? That's crazy. That's going to add so much to your aura. 35% strengthening of your aura. That's a lot of stats. In that, I know that's really good for Arena as well, but that's where the legendary conversation comes in, and I would not use this one on a champion for Arena if you have a legendary. So actually, let me just skip to that one really quick. Legendary, Intimidating Presence. This is a legendary version. This one you might want to put on someone if you are using them in Arena, because it also weakens the enemy's aura as well. And Arena is really the only place you have to worry about that. So maybe if you're using a Duchess for your Hydra, and you also use her in Arena, this could be the answer. You definitely would choose Intimidating Presence over Commanding Presence in that case. Otherwise, you'd probably want to put this on a random other extra champion that maybe doesn't have much damage or other utility, where this is just going to help the whole team out. The last epic one I want to mention is Crushing Rend. So here in each round, a number of this champion's hits will ignore a percentage of the target's defense. The percentage of ignored defense depends on the level of the target. So when we're talking bosses, they have crazy high levels. I mean, we're talking like level 300 on some bosses and some champions, depending on what content you're doing. So this is awesome. So this is going to help do massive damage, but this is one that also needs to be on the damage dealer. So some of these, it's helping your whole team. This one in particular, it is helping that specific champion do more damage, and they're making their hits ignore damage. So keep that in mind. This might be one that's only best to use at 6-star, because it's kind of weak at lower levels, but when you get down to the 6-star, we'll ignore 1% defense for every 10 levels. That's a lot of defense to ignore. This is really good. And then it also adds 20% crit damage, 1000 HP, 400 attack. So this is a really, really nice blessing here. And I think one of the strongest ones as well. Crushing Rend and Cruelty are really, really good to have in your team for Hydra. Now, continuing here with legendaries, I already mentioned one, but the next one, probably one of the most important ones to know, is Brimstone. So this is that fun smite debuff that makes, well, champions under smite debuff will be hit by a meteorite when they use an active skill. The meteorite inflicts damage equal to 25% of the affected champion's max HP, will also inflict damage to other champions equal to 5% of their max HP. So this is great because it doesn't matter who you put it on. It doesn't have to be the damage dealer. It can be anyone. So that is awesome. You also cannot stack these, so only one per team for smite. But this is one I'm looking forward to playing with and hope I get opportunity to use on my main account, especially at a higher level. 100% chance of placing smite at a 6-star, plus 10% speed, 50 accuracy, 1000 HP, oh wait, 6000 HP. That's a lot of nice boosted stats to throw in there as well. So I really like smite. And guys, do keep in mind, I probably should note, for sake of blessings in general, something like smite debuff, it should be noted you do not need accuracy to land debuffs and all of these skills from blessings. So that is a plus for sure. Just like in the sense of artifact sets, like stun sets, taunting, you don't need accuracy to land those debuffs from that as well. I'm actually really happy. I wasn't sure because they kind of treat this like skill. So I thought it was going to actually require accuracy, but it does not. I do want to give a quick mention to temporal change because I feel like this might be asked about by some people for Hydra, because we know decreased speed is really helpful, or increased speed in Hydra. So you're like, oh, will this be helpful? Decreasing speed, that's good, right? Unfortunately, if you do get to the point where there's a lot of buffs on the Hydra heads and you're using this, you're probably already screwed. It's probably already too late. So yes, it can help if you know things have been a bit messy, or you're still getting comfortable with Hydra and you're not very good at preventing all those buffs from happening in the first place. This can help get you out of a jam, but it's not recommended because by the time you're already in that jam, things are probably already, well, too messy. But yeah, let's just leave it at that. I think that covers the bases pretty good. Let me know in the comments below which blessings are you using on your Hydra characters already, or which ones are you most excited to try? Hope you guys like this video. I'll try to have some similar in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.